Hi guys, this is SkyVault, and welcome to the next episode in this Love2D tutorial series. So today I'm going to be talking about creating a very simple user interface for like a main menu and all that. So Love2D actually has quite a few pretty great user interface libraries that we could use for this. But being that this is such a simple, like sometimes we don't want to overcomplicate things by introducing a whole new library and all that, and we can just script something together that will work pretty well. So in this episode I'm going to actually show you how to do that. Let me run the program that we're going to be creating today. So actually let me move my face down. There we go. So this is the program that we're going to create, and let me actually move this window over so that we can see the output here. But as you can see, when you scroll your mouse over the button, it will actually highlight, just like that. And when we click it, it will actually print, it will call a function assigned to that button. And what I have the function doing right now is just printing, a message to the console. And when we actually click exit, it will actually close the program right there. So yeah, that's what we're going to be making today. So to get started, first thing I want to do is actually create a just a function that will give us a button. So let's make it a local function, and I'm going to name this new button. Now what this function is going to take in is it's going to take the text that the button's going to display, and then also a function that and this function is what's going to be called when the button is clicked. So the next thing I want to do is just return a table, and this table will represent our button. It will store all the state for the button. So I'm going to give it a variable called text, and then also give it a variable called function. Alright, so one thing I want to do is define just a couple global variables. So I'm going to name this button height, and I'm just going to assign it 64 pixels. Alright, so if we just run this, nothing's going to happen, of course, but we know that things aren't breaking. So let's actually create some buttons. So let's create a table and name it buttons. And down here we'll say table.insert, and we'll say into the buttons table, and we'll insert what's returned from new button. So the first thing is the text, so I'm going to say start the first button. I'm going to make it say start game. And the next one is the function that's going to be called. So we're just going to pass in a anonymous function right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this print starting game. Now what you could do here is you could add logic to actually change the scene to go into the game and all that. And we'll talk about scene management later and all that. But for now we're just going to make it so it's just prints starting game. So that's one button. Let's create another button. Let's name this load game. So let's say you have a save state, that you want to load. So I'm going to say loading game right here. And another button. I'm just going to name this settings. And this is, like if you want to go into your settings menu. Going to settings menu, sure. And the last button, I'm going to name it exit, and I'm actually going to make it do something a little bit useful. So I'm going to just make the text exit, and instead of printing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say love.event.quit, and I'm going to pass in 0 right there. And that will just quit the game as soon as we click the button. So let's just run to make sure we don't have any bugs or anything like that, and the game ran, so looks like we're doing well. So first thing, let's loop through all the buttons and just draw them in the middle of the screen, and we'll worry about positioning them equally in a little bit. So I'm going to say for I, which stands for index, button is in I pairs buttons. So what this is going to do is it's going to get the index and then the button for every single button in the list. And let's just draw it in the middle. So to do that, we need the width and the height of the window. So I'm going to say window width to go to love.graphics.getWidth. I'm going to say window height is equal to love.graphics.getHeight. Now I also want to define the width of a button. So we're going to define the button width as a third of the window width, so that if we scale up the window, it will also scale up the button width and all that. So I'm going to say width times a third. And you can always play around with all these variables yourself to get a button that looks the way that you want it to. This is just to get a basic ground just to get the groundwork for a menu system down. So let's actually draw this button. So I'm going to say love.graphics.rectangle. And the first parameter I'm going to say fill, so it's a filled rectangle. Now the x-coordinate is going to be the window width, the half of the window width, so that's the middle of the screen, subtracted by the button's width times a half. And that will place the button right in the middle of the screen. Now the height, or the Y position, is going to be window height times a half minus the button's height times a half. And then next, the button width and the button height. So we're just going to fill those in right here. So now if I run this, we'll see a white rectangle right in the middle of our screen. Alright, so now if we want to actually position the buttons and space them out evenly with a margin, what I'm going to do is we're going to get the total height of every single button, or the total height of all the buttons stacked up with each other. So to do that, let's just go to the top here. Let's say total height, and we're going to set this equal to button height times the number of buttons. So we're just going to say number of buttons right there. And that should be the total pixel height. Now, if we just do this right now, it'll have all the buttons stacked up on top of each other without any space between them. So we actually want to give it a little bit of a margin. So let's create a local variable and name this margin, and we'll set the margin to 16 pixels. Again, you can play around with this to make it look however you want. Now, to account for the margin, we have to add that to the button height right there. So this is the total height of all the button stack, and let me actually run the program again so I can show you. So you see this total height right here represents the top right here clear down to the bottom right there. So what we want to do is we actually want to start the buttons at the total height minus the total height. So divided by 2. Actually, that's the width. We don't want that there. We want this to be here. Minus total height times a half. And let me move this down here, just so that it's aligned correctly. So now we have the buttons starting at the top. But now we want to actually move them down and space all the buttons evenly. So I'm going to create a local variable up here. I'm going to name this cursor Y. Now this cursor represents the current location of the button, and we're going to slowly move that cursor downwards. And actually, we're going to do that down here right now. So we're going to say cursor_y is equal to cursor_y plus the button's height plus the margin. So we got to account for that margin. And now what we can do is we can say plus cursor y. And if we run this, we'll see that the buttons are now evenly spaced. And actually, it looks like it's a little bit off. So let me see what I did wrong here. Okay guys, so I found the issue. We need to get rid of this right there. So this is subtracting the button's height divided by half, and that's why we have an extra, a little bit of space there that we don't want. So this is our final, function right there. And now our buttons are actually centered in the middle. So let's actually get it so that we can. Well, let's change the let's change the color of the buttons. So we're gonna say set color. And we're just going to set it to something, something maybe with a tiny bit of a blue tint, but it's a little bit darker. And I like this color right here, so let's try that. So we'll see that it's a nice, color. And you can change this to whatever you want. Yeah, okay, so let's actually draw some text over it. So let's set the color to black, because I want the text to be black. 0, 0, and then 1 for the opacity. And then one thing I actually forgot to do is we need to load a font. So before we draw the text, let's actually load a font. Let's go up here. I'm going to create a local variable in the global scope right here. I'm going to name it font. And I'm going to set it equal to nil. And then up at the top right here, let's actually load this font. We're going to say font is equal to love.graphics.new font. And I'm going to start it up at 32-point font. I think that was a reasonable size. Yeah, okay, so let's actually draw this out. So the function we want to use is print. Now the first one is the text that we want to draw. So we know that's stored in the button table. So we're going to say button.text. Next is the font, so we're going to pass in font. And the last one is the x and y coordinates. So we actually have the x and y coordinates stored, or we don't have them stored anywhere. So let's actually create a local variable for that. We're going to say x right here. And actually I'm going to name this button x. Just be a tiny bit more explicit. And we're going to do the same thing down here. We're going to say local by is equal to this value right here. Perfect. Alright, so now we can use these variables in the print function and save some calculation. If we run this, now we'll see that our text is drawn in the top right corner of the button. So we actually want this to be, you could leave it like this, and I actually think it looks pretty nice in the top left corner, but I think it would be a little bit better if we have it in the center. So let's actually center this text right here. Now to do that, we need to know the total width of the text in pixels. So what we can do is there's a couple functions that the font gives us, the actual font object gives us to actually measure the width of the text in pixels. So I'm going to be using, so let's do text width. Let's create a variable named text width, and we'll set it equal to font get width, and this will get the width of whatever text we pass it. So we're going to say button.text, just like that. And we're going to do the same thing for the height. So we're going to say text h is equal to get font colon get height. And now what we want to do is we want to add text width times a half. Oh, actually, you know what? We don't want to do that. We want to actually get the width of the screen. So we're going to say width plus text width times a half. And this, we can just do text height times a half. So now if we run it, actually that's not correct. We want to subtract half. There we go. So now we have all the text in the middle of the button. And you see right here I subtracted from the width. So we start off with the width, so the text would have been right here. Then we subtract the width of the text to center it. Alright, so we made pretty good progress right here, but we actually want to add the functionality to allow us to click the button. Now let's actually get started and do this. So let's make it so that when we have our cursor over the button, it will change color. So the first thing I want to do is I want to actually store the color in a local variable. So I'm going to grab all the values in this set color function right there, all the parameters, and I'm going to put it into a table. And now I'm going to call unpack on the color right there. And unpack is a really cool function. What it does is it takes every single element of a table and basically spreads it across a set of arguments in a function. It is similar to the star operator in Python, if you're familiar with that. But yeah, it's very useful for this. Okay, so we're going to create a local variable, and we're going to name this hot. Now, if a button is hot, that means that the cursor is currently over the button. It means that if the user could click it at any moment. Alright, and we're going to say, oh, actually, before we do this, let me comment this out. Let's get the mouse position, the position of the mouse in the window. So we're going to say my is equal to love.mouse.getPosition. So this gets the position of the mouse and separates it into the x coordinate and the y coordinate right here. Now we're going to say hot, and we're going to do a simple rectangle intersection test. So we have, so we know that the mouse is within the boundaries of the button if the mouse x is greater than the box x, and the mouse x is less than the box x plus the width of the button, so button width. Now we also need to do that to the y coordinates, so we're going to say the mouse y is greater than the by, and the mouse y is less than the by plus the button height. And then now we can say if the button is hot, then we're going to brighten the color. So we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to just make it a lot brighter, so like twice as bright. So that will be our new values for color. Whoops, looks like we have a tiny little typo right there. Change this B to an M. That's what we were getting wrong. So let me run this, and now we'll see that it will actually highlight the button individually, which that's what we want. All right, so now that we have this, now we can actually implement the clicking functionality. So what we need to do at the very top right here is we need to give 2 more parameters to this table. So we're gonna create one called now. It's gonna call and it's gonna be a boolean, and we're gonna set it to false. And we're gonna create another boolean called last. We're gonna set this to false. And this is gonna help us only register the click once when we click it, and not keep registering the click. So up here, we want to reset the button's last state. So we're going to say last is equal to button.now. All right. So right here, we're going to say button.now is equal to love.mouse.is down. And we're going to say 1. 1 represents the left click right there. And we're going to say if hot, or actually, sorry, let's say if button dot now. So if the mouse button's down, but the last state of the mouse button was not down, and also that the button's hot, then we're going to actually call the button's function right there. So let's actually run this and test it now. So if we click it, we'll see that it says starting game, just like that. We click load game, and it will say loading game. Click settings, and then now if we click exit, we'll see that it actually closes things out. So this is just the start to a simple menu system, but hopefully that in this episode you can see how you can change things around. Like for instance, if the button is hot, like the button is being moused over, you can make it so that it slowly grows, in size or something. Or maybe it it breathes, it grows and then shrinks. Basically what you can do is basically endless. So I'll let you guys play around with that and experiment. And yeah, I hope you guys found this useful, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.